Greetings, I'm Dev the Developer. This lesson covers the div tag. It is a generic container that has no built-in meaning, and for a long time it was the main tool people used to build page structure. We'll look at what it does, a couple of attributes that go with it, and why HTML5 gave us better options. The div tag is short for division. It is a block level element, which means it starts on a new line and stretches to fill the width of its container. That part is familiar from paragraphs and headings. What makes div different is what it does not carry. It has no semantic meaning whatsoever. The paragraph says, this is a paragraph. A heading says, this is a heading at this level of the outline. A div says nothing. It's just a box. The div here groups the heading and paragraph tags together. That's its job. It wraps content so you can treat the group as a unit, usually for layout or styling purposes. On its own, div is not very useful. The two attributes that make it practical are class and ID. Class lets you assign a label to one or more elements. If you have several divs that should look the same, give them all the same class name. CSS can then target that class and style, all of them at once. ID is for a single unique element. One specific div on that page that needs to be targeted directly. Where class can be reused, ID should never be. One ID per element per page. We will not go deep on either of these right now. CSS and JavaScript are where class and ID do their real work. For this lesson, just know they exist, and that is what you put on a div when you need to identify it or group it. Before HTML5, if you wanted to mark up a page with a header, navigation, a content area, a sidebar, and a footer, div was basically your only option. And that produced something people started calling div soup or even div hell. You can see what it looked like. Now, setting the content aside, look at the structure. Every single section is a div. If you handed this to another developer or came back to it 6 months later, you'd have to read every class name to understand what each piece is. The HTML is not telling you anything. It is just boxes inside boxes. This is the problem. When everything is a div, the structure of the document exists only in class names, not in the markup itself, not standardized. Search engines have to guess. Screen readers have less to work with, and when the structure gets deeper, it gets genuinely harder to follow. HTML5 introduced a set of elements specifically designed to replace most common div patterns. Header, nav, main, section, article, aside, footer. Each one carries meaning by the name. And the same structure written using these semantic elements. The structure now speaks for itself. You can read the tags and know what each section is. That's not just a style preference. It is information that browsers, search engines, and assistive technologies can actually use. Now, div is not going away. There are still cases where you need a generic container without any semantic meaning attached to it. But it should not be your default. When a more specific element fits, use it. We will cover each of these semantic elements over the next several lessons. For now, the takeaway is div exists, it is useful, but HTML5 gives you some better tools for the parts that actually mean something. The div tag is just a generic container, no more, no less. It has been the backbone of page layout for a long time, but HTML5 gives you named, meaningful alternatives for the most common cases. Start learning to reach for those instead. That is what the next few lessons are for. Don't just watch them, do it.